There are certain truths that have taken shape in the world of modern culture, undeniable in their persistence, and so fascinating in their ripple effect that they become more than just consumer patterns. They become symbols of the way we live, buy, and dream. One of those truths is this: everything Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, touches sells out. It is not simply a coincidence or an overused marketing phrase. It is a reality that has been witnessed time and again. A dress glimpsed for a few seconds during a walkabout, a necklace worn in an interview, a pair of flats caught in a fleeting photograph. Each one has sparked a chain reaction that ends with digital storefronts empty, waitlists growing, and brands overwhelmed by demand. And now, in this ongoing legacy of the Meghan effect, it is the Our Place titanium Always Pro Pan that sits at the centre of attention, glowing with as much allure as a royal jewel and as much practicality as a daily necessity. It is not merely a pan. To call it that would be to flatten the story, to reduce it to stainless steel and titanium surfaces, golden accents, and a well-balanced lid. The titanium Always Pro Pan carries with it a philosophy of beauty meeting function, of simplicity hiding sophistication, of an object designed not just to sit in a kitchen, but to inhabit it like a piece of sculpture. And when Meghan was seen with it, the story turned electric. Suddenly, what had already been a coveted tool for culinary enthusiasts became a symbol of a lifestyle, a badge of discernment, a way for consumers to feel tethered to Meghan's world. As if by cooking in that same pan, one could capture just a trace of her taste, her elegance, her effortless blending of tradition and modernity. There is a reason why this phenomenon continues to unfold, and why it is particularly powerful when tied to someone like Meghan. She embodies the convergence of worlds that once seemed irreconcilable: the royal and the modern, the established and the disruptive, the traditional and the reimagined. And in this space, objects like the Always Pro Pan do not simply become cookware, they become the canvas upon which new cultural meanings are painted. For those who follow Meghan, who see in her an emblem of independence, resilience, and fresh sophistication, the products she touches become vessels for those values. It is not just a matter of sautéing vegetables or simmering curries, it is about belonging to a larger story. The titanium Always Pro Pan was already destined to succeed. Our Place, the brand behind it, has built its reputation on cookware that doubles as design, a philosophy rooted in inclusivity, sustainability, and making the everyday ritual of cooking into an act of joy and connection. The Always Pan was a runaway success, celebrated for replacing multiple pieces of cookware with a single, beautiful tool. Its evolution into the titanium Always Pro Pan only deepened the promise. Tougher, sleeker, lighter, designed with endurance in mind and elegance in every curve. But when Meghan's name entered its orbit, destiny was no longer about success alone. It was about cultural immortality. A pan becomes a story becomes a symbol, and a symbol becomes something you can't quite live without. It is this alchemy that defines the Meghan effect, and it is why her influence is studied not just in the fashion industry, but across wellness, media, food, and lifestyle. She does not hawk products, she embodies them, often without seeming to try. Her endorsement is not in loud slogans or forced placements, but in the natural ease with which she incorporates them into her life. A glimpse of her cooking, a quiet revelation of what she uses, is enough to send a message of authenticity. Consumers are not simply told what to buy, they feel invited into her kitchen, into her rituals, into a softer and more attainable version of her world. And so, the titanium Always Pro Pan sells out, not just because it is beautiful, not just because it is practical, but because it has become infused with Meghan's aura. The pattern has repeated itself so many times it almost feels scripted, and yet each instance carries its own unique drama. When she wore the Strathbury bag, the brand's website crashed under the surge of traffic. When she appeared in the Reformation dress, it vanished from shelves. When she stepped into Rothy's flats, they went from cult favourite to global sensation. Even the simplest of items, a stack of cookbooks on her kitchen counter during an interview, sparked frenzied searches and upticks in sales. And now, in a way that feels both inevitable and remarkable, a pan joins that lineage. It is a reminder that Meghan's influence is not bounded by clothing or accessories, but extends to the very heart of the home. What makes this phenomenon so captivating is that it is not just about celebrity marketing. There are many public figures who lend their names to products whose faces adorn campaigns. But Meghan's resonance lies deeper, at the intersection of relatability and aspiration. She is glamorous, yet grounded, royal, yet approachable, sophisticated, yet warm. People want to emulate her not only because she represents beauty and style, but because she symbolizes agency, independence, and resilience. When she chooses something as ordinary as a pan, it does not diminish her aura. Instead, it amplifies it. The ordinary becomes extraordinary because it has passed through her hands. The titanium. Always pro-pan, with its gleaming finish and golden handles, feels like the perfect metaphor for this transformation. It is an object both functional and aspirational, as comfortable simmering lentils as it is being photographed on a glossy countertop. It reflects light in a way that makes it as much an aesthetic choice as a culinary one. And with Meghan's name tied to it, it takes on a mythology, not just a tool for cooking, but a vessel for connection. Each meal cooked in it feels like a continuation of a story, a way of partaking in a shared ritual that transcends kitchens and borders. It is not surprising, then, that the pan sells out. That is what happens when Meghan is involved. But the sellout itself is more than a simple indicator of demand. It is an expression of desire. It tells us that consumers are not only buying the product, but buying the story, the connection, the dream. They are reaching for a piece of Meghan's world, for the possibility of aligning their everyday rituals with hers. It is not so different from the way perfumes once promised bottled glamour, or how handbags promised entry into an elite circle. The titanium always pro-pan, in Meghan's orbit, promises a kitchen that feels radiant, modern, and touched by grace. This ripple effect is not without precedent, but it is rare in its consistency. Few figures in contemporary culture have the power to create such sustained demand across such diverse categories. Meghan's influence is global, cutting across demographics and markets. It is not tied to a single aesthetic or a narrow brand identity. Instead, it resonates because it is layered. The actress turned duchess turned independent creator, the mother, the advocate, the woman of mixed heritage, redefining spaces that were once exclusive. Each of these identities infuses the products she touches with meaning. And so the pan is not just cookware, it is cookware chosen by Meghan, the Meghan who represents resilience, reinvention, and the possibility of shaping your own story. What is particularly striking is that this effect shows no signs of waning. Each new instance, rather than dulling the impact, seems to reinforce it. Brands know it, fans know it, and retailers know it. If Meghan uses it, it will vanish from shelves. The sellout is inevitable. And so, the titanium always pro-pan's disappearance from online carts is less about surprise than about confirmation. It confirms that Meghan continues to matter, continues to shape culture, continues to inspire desire. It confirms that the kitchen is as much a site of aspiration as the runway, that cooking can be as glamorous as dressing, that utility and beauty are not mutually exclusive. The larger cultural implications cannot be ignored. Meghan's influence reveals something about the way consumers think today. It shows that buying decisions are not just about function or price, but about alignment with values, with identity, with story. The titanium. Always pro-pan succeeds because it is excellent, but it sells out because it is Meghan's. That distinction matters. It is the difference between a product and a phenomenon, between a utensil and a cultural symbol. It shows us that what people crave is not just cookware, but connection, not just a pan, but a presence. This story of sellouts, of course, is not only about Meghan, it is also about the changing nature of aspiration. Once, aspirational living was about distance, the untouchable glamour of movie stars, the unreachable palaces of royalty. Today, it is about proximity, the feeling that you can cook in the same pan, wear the same dress, drink the same rose. Meghan bridges those worlds. She embodies the aspiration of elegance and independence while offering the relatability of shared rituals. She makes the extraordinary feel attainable without diluting its magic. And so the titanium always pro-pan, gleaming under soft kitchen lights, becomes a conduit for that modern dream. If one traces the arc of Meghan's influence, the story of the pan feels almost inevitable. From fashion to beauty to lifestyle to food, her touch has created demand that defies prediction, but guarantees results. It is not simply about trends. It is about trust. Consumers trust that what Meghan uses is worth using, not because it was handed to her, but because it resonates with her values and style. That trust is rare, and it is powerful. It is why the pan, like so many things before it, is gone before many even have the chance to click Add to Cart. And so, the Our Place titanium, always pro-pan, sits now in kitchens around the world, its golden handles gleaming as if to remind its owners of the story they are part of. It is more than just a tool for cooking. It is a memento of a cultural moment, a piece of the Meghan effect that continues to shape the way we buy and dream. Each meal prepared in it carries with it a whisper of her influence, a sense of belonging to something larger. It is cookware, yes, but it is also a story that will continue to unfold as long as Meghan remains the figure who can make anything, from handbags to pans, sell out in an instant. And in that truth lies the enduring magic. Everything she touches, everything she chooses, everything she brings into her orbit becomes not just a product, but a phenomenon. It is not merely sold, it is desired, pursued, and remembered. This is the legacy of Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, the woman whose choices shape markets, whose rituals shape trends, whose authenticity shapes desire. The titanium, always pro-pan, is only the latest chapter in this unfolding story, but it will not be the last. For as long as Meghan continues to live with the grace and boldness that define her, there will always be another sellout, another phenomenon, another object transformed into something larger than itself. And each time, we will be reminded once again of the simple, stunning truth. Everything Meghan touches sells out. To all my curious Sussex family, thank you all for watching, and do not forget to subscribe, like and put a comment. Bye-bye, see you in our next episode.